Teslas have been on sale now in Australia for over 10 years. Now, a lot of people would be apprehensive about buying a second-hand electric vehicle, and with good reason why. Here's a great example of a 10-year-old Tesla. It's got over 250,000 Ks, and we're gonna see what it's really like. There you go, 256,297 Ks. Full disclosure, this is my good mate Conti. We've been friends since high school. Now, you're not a car guy.
No.
And you came to me a few years ago and said, hey, I want to buy this Tesla.
Yeah.
It's secondhand. It's already got nearly 200,000 odd Ks on it. And I was a bit like, really?
Yeah.
Now, you own two Teslas now. You've got a Model S and a Model X.
Yes.
These are both models that aren't even available in Australia anymore.
Correct.
They only sell a Model 3 and a Model Y if people know what they are.
Yeah.
And you liked this car probably because your friend had one similar, yeah?
Yeah, so my mate had an 85 without the dual motor. You know, we asked the owner of the vehicle a few questions about how he was treating the vehicle. He ran a business where he had to travel some long kilometers every day, but he was charging always on 3-phase, only to 80%. That's what he told me. We looked at the the kilometers that it's capable of doing at an 80% charge.
Yes.
And it looked very comparable to my mate's 85. I just thought, look, I'm just gonna give it a go.
Give it a go.
So
this is a 85D, what, 2015?
2015, so that's 10 years old. When I bought it, 200,000 Ks, now 250,000 Ks.
So when you bought it, from memory, it still had a warranty on the battery, and we all know, once they hit 8 years old, they literally just melt. Yeah, that's it, done. Everyone says the batteries don't last. It's like saying all engines fail in cars. It's like everything, it's how they're treated. This has been charged correctly.
Yep.
If you just hammer it all the time on a supercharger, it's not great long-term for a battery.
I do accelerate this car quite a bit, and so I do give it a bit of stick. I'm going through tyres.
I'd vouch for that. I was just looking at your tyres there.
So some very common issues that you come across with these vehicles is the ball joints at the front. And also all of these handles now have failed.
Yeah.
I actually got to experience the driver's side handle failing.
But look, just about every car has common faults that you find as an owner on the second-hand market.
They do. But there's no servicing for this. I've got to take it in when the car tells me to take it in, and it hasn't told me to take it in.
Well, that is one reason why we're here today, because older Teslas do have some servicing that people probably aren't aware. They actually have oil filters. People go, why would you put an oil filter in an electric car? Well, you've got a motor front and rear. You've essentially got auto trans fluid in there, which requires a change. They do say every 100,000 Ks. So we've just put the car up on the lift. Now, it's fair to say, you can't see a whole lot under there. There's so many guards and everything's covered, obviously with the battery there, but you can see a lot of the suspension components, the parts that we were sort of more interested in. Considering she's done 250,000 kilometers, it's still in pretty good condition, isn't it?
It does look fairly nice, to be fair.
Yeah.
The whole flat floor thing, if you're into race cars and stuff, it's actually really cool. Ice cars should have that level of underfloor too. It's nice.
It does look like the front lower control arms, it looks like they've been replaced. Most ice cars, you get under with that sort of kilometers, you can usually see a bit of oil, a bit of blow-by, some sort of oil residue under the car somewhere, but there's none of that.
Yeah, no leaks is nice, that's to be fair, but this is a sample size of one, so
true.
Some bits look really nice, maybe he's treated it really well.
But a lot of people don't realise these drive units do need servicing, and this is where Ryco comes in. They offer replacement oil filters. It looks like your standard oil filter you get on a petrol diesel engine.
And very suspiciously like one. I mean, if you were going to design a Tesla and you needed an oil filter, arguably you'd go for that style, wouldn't you?
The drive units require oil changes, they say every 100,000 kilometres. Now,
so he's done what, 6 or 7?
This probably hasn't had any. Because it has dual motor front and rear, it's got 2 of these to go on. And also, Ryco also offers a replacement cabin filter, which to me, the smell of that car, it smells like this hasn't been done in a long time. Now, this should be done in every car yearly. Every car I've ever purchased secondhand, that's the first thing I do. I brought the car down to the AIC, not because you profess to be an electric car expert, quite the opposite.
Yeah, and I mean, here's an early adopter really of electric cars. I mean, there aren't that many running around with 250,000 Ks on them, and they're different, and we don't know how that's going to play out yet. Like, you know, personally, I would think that they're so fast, and this is a performance one. It's very fast, and it must be harder on the bushes. It must be harder on tyres, and therefore brakes. But then you hear these stories about, because you can drive the EVs around and not use the friction brakes at all. Yeah, they start to glaze up, and it's funny. You know, we've got one with Brembos on it, and they'll just glaze up. Like their performance brakes, and you can drive around all day reasonably quickly too, not being super conservative, and you never use the brakes. So it's like, do they glaze up, or are they wearing out because the car's so fast? And being a car geek, that's one of the weirdest things. We pick up the Polestar, and even when you do use the brake pedal, if you don't use it enough to go over regen, it actually won't apply the hydraulic brake system.
I don't know what it weighs, but it's obviously over 2 tonne, this thing. And how they deliver bulk torque instantly, you'd have to think that's hard on, it's got to be hard on the suspension components.
They're brutal. They have to be four-wheel drive because they're so fast, but you hit it, and then our F-150 Lightning, because it's not as dynamically capable, it just wheel spins at the front. Like, they're so fast, it has to be like leaning on them, and the suspension obviously design's probably for that, but it's conventional. Like, the suspension design is mostly conventional in how it looks. There's nothing crazy outlandish in there, and the brake system's pretty normal. It's got the full drift handbrake, conventional oil filters, you know, and as you would, right? You go, hey, here mate, go make the best first whatever electric car, and there's a lot of car in it still.
This vehicle, from a practicality perspective, it's got a massive boot at the back. The seats at the back go down nicely. It gives you a really big tray if you need to move anything. So really practical from that perspective. If you've got a heap of short runs to go to work or just to do errands, how do you go past an electric car?
As a daily, I mean, despite what a lot of people say, they make a lot of sense.
Yeah, they do.
This one has free supercharging for life. Explain that.
So from 2016, maybe some 2017, so everything prior to that, there was an opportunity to get these Teslas free supercharging for life. We've heard in the US that these older vehicles, Tesla's been picking them up and stripping them of that benefit, and then sending them back out into the market again. So yeah, quite a great benefit, because in today's day and age, I think it's even more expensive to supercharge than it is for petrol at the Bowser. I'm always charging this on 3-phase, and at night I put it on off peak. I get a full charge with around about $3 or $4 or $5.
It's $3 or $4 or $5 of fuel. And it's something that has performance like this. You'd probably get to the end of this car park and you'd be out. A drawback probably of an earlier electric car that people still is the whole range anxiety. Probably being an older car, it doesn't have a huge range on the highway, does it?
Now, with its older age and the degradation in the battery, it's around about 17% degradation. I'm able to get around about 300 Ks. I'll be quite comfortable with 300 kilometers. Tesla batteries are expected to last 1,500 cycles.
How many has this done?
1,000.
There you go, battery health, 82.35. So you've lost just over about 17%.
Yeah.
The thing I like about you drive it as it's designed to. It's a 110 zone, you're doing 110. Normally I go past people in electric cars, they're doing 85 Ks an hour in a 110 zone to preserve their range. He just flogs it as it should be. Drive it how it is what it is. One thing electric cars are hard on is tyres, and this is a great example. That's a 21-inch wheel, but it's only 245 wide. But have a look at the outside tyre wear there. One thing I really like about this Tesla that I can't stand about a Model 3, for example, is this actually has a dash. The new Tesla's like, your speedo's over there somewhere, it doesn't even have heads up. This is just way better at driver experience, in my opinion. Some people love the minimal thing, I can't stand it. There you go, 256,297 Ks. And one thing I do like about electric cars, I know people are gonna be ragging on me for saying anything positive about an electric car. You can sit here now, we don't have an engine running, but we've got the aircon on.
Yep.
You can have the aircon on running 10 minutes before you leave. You can just tell it to turn on, so you're not hopping in a hot car.
There was a hot day, I think 40 degrees, and I had it running for the whole time I was at the gym. When I came back, it was condensation decked out in the car.
This is not the high-end P model, performance model, but it's still a dual motor, so even this car will still do, 0 to 100 in 4 odd seconds, effortlessly, like, and you're at the speed, that was like half throttle. I don't have a big problem personally with electric cars if people want them. I don't like the politics that goes with them for and against. Like, they shouldn't be jammed down your throat. If you want one, that's fine, but don't force it on people. Let the market decide That's my main gripe with the whole electric
Yeah.
scene. Now, it may have lost a little bit of range, mate, after 250,000, but it certainly hasn't lost any of that torque.
No.
Look, there's plenty of fast petrol cars, don't get me wrong, but these electric cars do it so easy.
Yep.
So you've owned the car a few years now. Are you going to keep it or get rid of it, upgrade it? What's your plans with it?
No, I'm just going to keep it. I'm really happy with this vehicle, so I'll run the battery to the ground and then I'll probably put a new battery into it. I think it's still got a lot of life in it. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about doing that for some time.
I don't think you will.
No.
You know, I've been watching Fullboost for the last 15 years and I've had it with this electric stuff. That's it, I'm unsubbed.